You know, they always say the fastest way to learn a language is through total immersion. But what if I told you the most powerful tool wasn't some textbook, but a simple shopping list? Before we begin, if you enjoy stories like this, please follow the channel and share this. It genuinely helps this page grow and allows me to create more stories for you. Okay, let's get into this. Recuerdo. I remember. It's how all the best stories start, right? And this one starts in a kitchen, absolutely drenched in Spanish sunlight, with my abuela, my grandmother. She didn't have flashcards, she had no grammar drills, her entire classroom was just her home. And her lesson plan? Well, that was love. And every single day, the lesson didn't start with a bell. No, it started with an aroma. Something so rich and deep, it felt like the morning itself had a soul. My very first word of the day was always café. She'd be there sipping her café con leche, milky and strong, with the steam curling up into the light. And for me, a tall glass of leche entera, whole milk. It was our quiet little ritual, kind of the calm before the storm, the symphony of flavors we were about to create together. Breakfast itself was always simple. Just a little pan tostado, toasted perfectly crisp with a smear of mantequilla and some sweet mermelada. And sometimes, if we were feeling it, a soft-boiled huevo. But see, this wasn't the main event. Oh no, this was just the overture, us gathering our strength for the real masterpiece. Then, wicker basket in hand, we would step out into the market. And let me tell you, this wasn't just a place to buy food. This place was a living, breathing dictionary. It was an explosion of life where every single stall was a new chapter and every vendor was a new teacher. We'd always start with the colors. She'd point, and her voice was so clear, so patient. Frutas, she'd say, for the gleaming fruits piled up like jewels. Verduras, for all the fresh, earthy vegetables that were still kind of dusted with soil. Then we'd stop for a sharp wedge of queso and a warm, crusty loaf of pan. Every word was like a new color she was adding to my palate. Oh, but the butcher's counter? That was a masterclass in itself. I'd stand really close, just listening as she debated what we'd get that day. Was it going to be bojo, or maybe some fresh pescado that smelled just like the sea nearby? We'd inspect the carne de ternera, and I'd just stare up at these magnificent legs of jamon hanging from the ceiling like chandeliers. So with our basket getting heavier and heavier, filled with all these sounds and smells and words, a question started to form in my head. I had all these beautiful little pieces, but I couldn't see the final picture yet. What were we actually building here? What was going to be the heart of our feast? Once we were back in her kitchen, it was like the whole world outside just fell away. This was her sacred space. It was part laboratory, part sanctuary, and it was right here that simple ingredients and simple words were about to be transformed into pure magic. She would arrange everything with the focus of an artist. First, the foundation: harina, azúcar, and that liquid gold of Spain, aceite de oliva. Then what she called the soul of every dish: sal and pimienta negra. And there was always a secret. Today, it was the warm, fragrant whisper of canela. Every single one a new word, a new promise of what was coming. And just like that, the kitchen came alive. That sharp hiss and sizzle of patatas fritas hitting the hot oil, the gentle, rhythmic simmer of a sopa on the stove. My job was simple: toss the ensalada. But my real job? It was just to watch, to breathe it all in, to listen, and to learn. And then, the moment finally arrived, you could hear the hum of family filling the house. The table was set, and the culmination of our entire day's journey was carried out from the kitchen, steaming and just beautiful. I mean, just look at this. It was so much more than a meal. It was a story laid out on a platter. We had sides of arroz and pasta, her legendary appetizers, those creamy croquetas and savory albóndigas. And then the stars of the show, a perfectly roasted pescado and a tender pavo. All of it shared with simple agua and cerveza for the grown-ups. It was breathtaking. As I was sitting there, surrounded by all this family and food and laughter, this incredibly powerful realization just washed over me. It was crystal clear. And that's when I finally got it. She wasn't just teaching me words. She was handing down a legacy. Every noun was an ingredient. Every verb, an instruction. The vocabulary list that had been building in my head all day long, it wasn't a list at all. It was a recipe for family, for heritage, for connection. That meal, that was the final lesson. It was the one that tied everything else together, the one that I knew would stay with me forever. And of course, there was a sweet final act. A creamy pastel de queso, a little square of rich, dark chocolate, and for me, a scoop of cold helado. It was the absolute perfect end to a perfect lesson. So now, when I hear those words, I don't just see translations in my head. Pan isn't just bread anymore. It's the warmth of her kitchen on a cool morning. Café isn't just coffee. It's the smell of home, of family, of her. The words had become feelings. The list had become a memory. In the end, she didn't just give me the tools to speak a language. She gave me a story to tell. My story. If this story moved you or made you think differently, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And follow the channel for more stories like this.